Welcome, wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans, and we appreciate you joining us for episode 10, the Double Dynamite edition. I am your host, representing the old school wrestling fan and your favorite local barber, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Andy.
I'm also your host, the no-selling wrestling indie fan, Jeremy.
All right, everyone, we got another great show today. We're going to be covering Smackdown and a very awkward title exchange. We're going to do a couple Rampage highlights, a few Raw highlights, 2 Dynamite reviews, maybe not everything, the big stuff that happened, Dark Side of the Ring, the current state of Ring of Honor, and maybe some Halloween Havoc stuff. But first, right now, go and like and subscribe to the PW Fan on YouTube, where we have full episodes available. And then please leave us a review on iTunes. What we're going to do is we're going to pick our favorite review, and we're going to send that person a shirt for free. And we'll send it right to you. Just leave us a review on iTunes. We're going to pick our favorite one. And then if you don't want to do that and you just want a shirt, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/thepwfan. And the shirt is available there. But all right, Andy, let's start the show. I'm going to pass it over to you and let you get right to it.
All right, we're going to start with SmackDown this week. Now, I just wanted to point out this SmackDown was the day after Crown Jewel, which means it's the official start of when the draft picks came into play. So the opening of the show I wanted to talk about, it was a Roman Reigns segment. And in the middle of it, Brock Lesnar comes out and just basically goes on a rampage of everyone. Brock indefinitely. Brock comes back out, chokes Adam Pearce, tells him, I didn't hear what you just said, makes him repeat it. Brock F5s Adam Pearce. So now we know Brock is suspended, what they said was indefinitely. What do you guys think? This is a way just to give him off TV for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what they always do, right? They always suspend him. I think he's the most suspended person in WWE history, probably. That's their easy way of writing him off. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, it makes sense that they would do it this way, and I mean, it's pretty typical for Brock to be written off, and it's. I mean, honestly, I hate to use this term, but it's the lazy. It's not really booking, but the lazy storyline.
So at the end of the night, the show closed with I want to say, awkward title exchange between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch, which the way it went down was a little weird. Charlotte ended up dropping the belt in the middle of the ring when Becky went to grab it. As we learned later on, this really wasn't planned at all. It was really, like I said, awkward title exchange. You could feel the tension in the ring. And then turns out a little while later, all three of us read online that some stuff went down backstage afterwards, as well as the things in the ring, weren't supposed to happen. So there's a lot of heat right now going on Charlotte Flair. There's a lot of props apparently going to Becky Lynch backstage for, stepping up to Charlotte Flair and kind of challenging her. And there was also talks of Sonya Deville wanting to, basically knock out Charlotte, because if some people don't know, Sonya Deville used to do MMA and actually has had a couple fights under her belt. So what do you think the company does with Charlotte? I had heard that they escorted her out the building or told her to leave the building.
Jeremy, did you read anything else about this?
I didn't read anything else other than, it was supposed to be just a trade-off, right? It was supposed to be just a normal, here you go, and they switch it. But I actually, I know that it was, kind of awkward, but it did make it a little more interesting having that tension, the real-life tension between them. And also, I would expect Charlotte throw it on the ground like she did, rather than just handing it over, which seems kind of not in both of their characters, really.
I will say that if you didn't tell me, if I didn't know on Twitter that something was going on weird. I would have probably just thought that it was all part of the show, to be honest with you.
Well, and that's the thing though, because they are supposed to be rivals and whatnot when it comes to the television show. So if it gets heated or seems heated, it follows suit with how they are supposed to act with each other. But then you see things on Twitter like Andrade tweeting, "F you WWE," and then it's pouring into clearly other companies like with Andrade and stuff. But I try to think about it. Go on.
To answer your question, you were asking, what do you do with Charlotte? I mean, the only thing to really do is, I'm sure they are, is they're probably having a conversation with her about professional conduct and, and then, on a personal level, somebody's probably chatting one-on-one with her, just saying, like, look, what do you want to do? Do you not want to be here? Because there's one thing that from reading about Vince and trying to learn as much as I can about him, is that he doesn't, legally, he will keep people around for, like, certain reasons. Sometimes it seems like almost out of spite. But, I think a lot of the time, like, if you don't want to be there, he doesn't want you there. What good does that do to anything? It's not good for anybody. And if here's the thing. Everything that she has, she pretty much owes to WWE and the opportunity that she was given there. But at the same time, she has every right to find her own happiness. And if that's elsewhere, she should be able to do that too. As far as, like, what they do with her, though, I'm sure they're just having a conversation about, what do you want to do from here? And if you don't want to be here, you can't be acting like that.
Well, apparently it's not the first time that she's, done something that seems to be difficult to work with. And I know it might not seem like it, but every superstar on any roster is replaceable. So as high and mighty Charlotte Flair is and how good she is as a character and as a wrestler, they're only going to put up with a certain amount of things. So, I hope she doesn't get fired.
Well, especially now because of Nick Khan. We already know that he thinks that wrestlers are replaceable. Like, you're saying it in one way. I understand what you're saying. But he sees it as, like, literally, like, he doesn't care who you are. He's like, you don't want to be here? We'll get the next person. And they've done that with Bray Wyatt. They did that with Aleister Black. I don't think Charlotte Flair is out of the... I don't think she's, like, that big of a star where they wouldn't do it to her, too. They've already done it to people that are, like, as big as her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he looks at it more like a business. Like, he can save money if they cut this person.
Yep, and he'll do it. So, hopefully they can figure that stuff out with her. But moving on to Rampage, I just wanted to touch on one quick thing, and that was the opening match. The opening match was Orange Cassidy versus Powerhouse Hobbs. This was a first-round match for the World Title Eliminator Tournament, which I believe started that night. So, kind of like what we did with the King of the Ring stuff, just wanted to go through when it comes to, the winners for each round and whatnot. So the winner of Orange Cassidy and Powerhouse moving on in the tournament was Orange Cassidy. And that brings us into our first Dynamite from Saturday. Our first Dynamite from Saturday. So, again, the show opened with another first-round World Title Eliminator Tournament match. This one was just, I don't know, it just felt like, some solid classic wrestling. It was Bryan Danielson versus Dustin Rhodes. I've noticed that with Dustin Rhodes and AEW, maybe I just didn't pay attention to it before, but it feels like almost anyone, he can have a solid match. And this is the first time I've seen Bryan Danielson wrestle Dustin Rhodes. I'm sure he did in WWE at some point, but I just wasn't watching then. But I thought it was a really good match. Moving on in the tournament was Bryan Danielson as your winner. Any thoughts on the match, guys?
Yeah, having Bryan Danielson outside of WWE feels like a whole new person. Or a whole new wrestler, really. Because every match, he can do something different or a different style and just make it that much more entertaining. Which is insane to have. Like, I knew it was going to be a good match, but he makes it a great match every single time he's out there. At least for right now. I think they've already recorded the Rampage for this Friday, like today at least. And it's him and Eddie Kingston. Apparently, that's a really great match as well. So I'm like looking forward to basically every single time he wrestles right now.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that Eddie Kingston Bryan Danielson match.
I really both of these guys can go. It is different styles, but I thought they put on a really good match. Dustin Rhodes is great, man. Like the fact that he can still go the way he does is awesome. And yeah, just the fact that, like you're saying, every Bryan Danielson match that happens, Jeremy, like you're saying, it just feels big. It feels important. I feel excited to watch it. Also, very similar to way every time Punk has a match, no matter who he's wrestling, it feels like it's an important match. Like I need to watch it. And I thought, it was just a really good match overall. And I thought Dustin tried some things like a little outside of his wheelhouse that seemed a little bit more modern, which was cool. And yeah, I again, just another solid performance on Danielson's part. And Dustin, of course.
Alrighty, moving on. We had the Super Click backstage. And after that, we had FTR and Tully Blanchard and Penta by himself doing promos backstage because FTR is feuding with Penta and Rey Fenix. After that, we had a in-ring Sting segment. If I can remember correctly, he was calling out MJF for what he had done to Darby and why Darby was, out. In the middle of his segment, MJF comes out and interrupts. And Sting, of course, gets taken out by, I believe it was Shawn Spears and Wardlow? Or maybe just Wardlow. I don't remember. The Dynamites are blended together.
Yeah.
So
we're like 4 days apart right now.
Yeah. So that just seems like they're continuing that MJF Darby feud. I'm sure that will lead to Full Gear, but we'll have to wait and see. After that, we had Britt Baker backstage. I believe she was talking about Ty Conti, and I think they're going to have a match coming up. Then we had our next match on the show. It's a first-round TBS Championship tournament. And this was Penelope Ford versus Ruby Soho. Moving on the tournament, your winner was Ruby Soho. And I don't know if you guys couldn't see this coming, but I definitely could, see Ruby at least making it past the first round. Any thoughts on Ruby or, I don't know if you all can remember in the bracket, but who, you might want winning or see winning this thing?
Yeah, Ruby should make it at least to the semifinals, probably. If not the final. Because I feel like you probably have... There's Thunder Rosa, I believe, is also in it. And then maybe they might even put Jade in the final, too, as a heel. So.
See, I feel like Jade's going to win the whole thing. She's undefeated as a singles.
Oh,
not saying it's won. I just think, she's putting the work. I think they don't want her to lose to Britt Baker because they want to keep the belt in her. But I could totally see her winning this tournament all the way.
Yeah, Ruby's one of my favorites. So I'm not saying that I think that she's going to win the whole thing. I don't know if they're going to really push her that hard because they've been building other people. And we've already seen the Britt Baker Ruby Soho match. So it's like, okay, switch it up, change it up. What are you going to do? But yeah, I mean, clearly Tony Khan or whoever is really in charge of running their women's division really sees something in Jade Cargill. Clearly, whoever's running the women's division sees something in Jade Cargill because they are really pushing her. I gotta say, she has a phenomenal look. She's a great looking athlete. She's like strong and powerful looking. She has a great professional wrestling look. I just think the more time and the more reps that she does, the better she'll get. But yeah, somebody definitely sees something in her. Not saying that I don't, but it seems like that they want her to, besides Britt Baker and who was their original women's champion? Rio. Yeah, this seems like their next person that they want to make their like AEW homegrown women's division champion. So that's the direction I see. But Ruby Soho's my girl, so that's who if we're going with who we want to win, that's who I want to win.
Alrighty. After that, we had MJF, Shawn Spears, and Wardlow backstage. Then we had another match, Bobby Fish versus Anthony Green. Not the singer of Circus Survive, but Anthony Green with the E at the end. Winner was Bobby Fish, and afterwards, Bobby Fish turned a little bit heelish, starts attacking Anthony Green, even though he won. Then out comes CM Punk to save Anthony Green, which is quickly announced they're going to have a match at the following Dynamite. So after that, we had...
I just want to say, I think the Anthony Green from Circus Survive and Seosin probably could have put up a better fight than the guy that was in the match.
Yeah, he I think I went to look something up there afterwards, but I don't remember if I was right or wrong. He might have been an Impact at one point, but I wasn't 100% sure. Maybe Jeremy would know, maybe not, but if he was, well, he's not there now. He's just getting crushed by Bobby Fish. So
I've never seen him before this, so.
Alright. Then we had Dante Martin and Leo Rush backstage. During these interviews, Dante Martin's character just looks like he does not want to be with Leo Rush and paired up. Like, he's just bummed that this is what his career has resorted to.
I get that's the point. It's probably
maybe though that could be part of it a little bit though.
Yeah, like he has to resort to this
storytelling. Well, he even said something didn't he even hint at something during one of the promos? He said something he disagreed with him, and there was like a tension there for a second. I think they plant those seeds, you know?
Yeah.
And also, it's like, what does Leo Rush even do? Like, he says he's basically a manager, but he calls himself, a money guy or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
Again, these Dynamites, since there was 2 this week, they're running together. Because, the next Dynamite, we also had another Dante Martin, Leo Rush backstage, so I just can't remember what was a part of both.
I know. Yeah, we're not Conrad people. We don't have a team of people that we can gather throughout the week to take all these notes, man.
It's all of our own memory.
Full-time jobs.
It's all of our own memories.
All of our own memory, watching wrestling on our own time.
So
right.
after the backstage segment, we had another first round world title eliminator tournament: Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. Your winner moving on was Eddie Kingston, but man, was there a scary spot in this match with Lance Archer. He did a moonsault off the top rope and landed like directly face down on his head. He took some time. Yeah, he took some time afterwards. Got out of the ring, talked to some doctors, came back in. Eddie Kingston just brought it home with a quick roll up and, did what he had to do. But so it looks like I know we mentioned it earlier, but next time Eddie Kingston is in the tournament, he's wrestling Bryan Danielson. So that match will be really good. But yeah, what do you guys think when you saw this Lance Archer spot?
Well, I immediately thought of that Brock Lesnar spot when he did the same thing, except he had muscles from his shoulders to his ear to protect himself from that fall. So I think, and Lance Archer hit exactly in the top of his head, which is incredibly dangerous. And I'm pretty sure, he probably did have a concussion afterwards. They just let him go in and do the roll for the end of the match. And I think they were going with Eddie Kingston anyways. Because it seemed like they already had the graphic up. Or if they changed it that fast, that's incredibly fast. But they it seemed like they were already going in that direction, anyways.
Yeah, it was really scary, and I really wish I was thinking about it, like you were saying, Jeremy. If they were already going to go in that direction anyway, if he had maybe fractured a vertebrae, broken his neck, maybe they didn't know the extent of the injury, and then one more thing, he could have been paralyzed. Because here's the thing, you don't know. He was very lucky. He said he didn't get a concussion, but at the same time, it's like you don't. With some of these guys, you don't know because they want to finish the match. But when the doctor came out there and checked on him, and he went to the outside, and he was checking on him on the outside, I really feel like at that point, if you already knew that the direction of the match was Eddie Kingston was going to win, that you should have just called the match and said that he couldn't continue, because it's just scary. Like, something really bad could have happened to him, and I'm sure he doesn't think of it like that. And I heard he was disappointed when he went backstage, and was angry about how everything ended early. But man, it's like so many people now, especially and this is the PW fan, so I'm saying from a fan's point of view, like, I've watched so many wrestlers from when I was a kid, like, they have a lot of problems, like, physically, and it's like, you don't want to wind up like that, man. It's a sad thing, and, like, nobody wants him to have something like that happen to him. So I just hope that if something like that happens again, I remember when Sting collapsed in the ring after the buckle bomb. It was one of the scariest things I ever saw.
Terrifying. You and me were watching it live.
Stuff like that.
We were like,
yeah.
we were like, is this going on?
I said something's wrong.
Or is this like a work?
I said
when
something's
you saw
wrong.
That? Yeah.
I said something's wrong, and then when he hit the ropes and then collapsed again, I said, "Oh no, this is really really bad." But yeah, hopefully in the future they just call it. I'm glad he's okay though, because super talented dude. He's probably done that move a million times. It's just like, one of those things. But I just was confused that he did a roll up. Like, the roll up, you go up on your neck a little bit too. I'm like, man, that's like just a little risky looking to me as a spectator. But
all right. After that, we had the Men of the Year segment. Guys, I'm kind of over the Men of the Year stuff in American Top Team. We'll get into it at the next Dynamite, but
these
so
are
they're out in the ring, Men of the Year.
We are an AEW friendly show, but I will say, like, it's like one of those things where it's like there's stuff where I'm like, I'm not crazy about this, and this is one of them. And I'm okay with being honest about it.
The only thing that saved this segment was Sammy Guevara interrupting.
Yeah. I was
what was
good
that,
for like
Jeremy?
American Top Team for probably like a few weeks when it was like the first start. Now I was like, oh cool, some MMA guys. And now I'm like, they're still here?
I didn't know they were going to be sticking around this long.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. It felt like it would have been over like when they had that 6-man tag match.
So, yeah, Sammy Guevara comes out, interrupts. Go on, Tim.
Does anybody even really want to see this? Like, does anybody even want to see UFC fighters versus pro wrestlers? Like, it's not that cool because, one, like, if we're actually thinking about it, it's like everybody knows that, like, come on. That the UFC guys would probably mess those dudes up. And then secondly, when the MMA guys are doing the pro wrestling stuff, if they're not like really good at it, it doesn't look that good. So it's like, I don't know, it just seems like a weird lose-lose for everybody. Like, it's not something I'm interested in, and I used to order big fights all the time. Like, I love mixed martial arts. It's just that in pro wrestling, like mixing like that is just like, I don't know. I like when they incorporate little styles, like, Bobby Fish does some stuff like that, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, but it's like, man, come on. It's like, do we really want to see Junior Dos Santos go in there and wrestle? I don't. That's just me. What's your guys' opinion?
Yeah, so in the middle of that Men of the Year segment, Sammy Guevara came out, interrupts, and then as what's his name? Dan Lambert would call him the inner circle jerk, comes out and just is continuing this whole feud between them as much as they can. After that, we had Jon Moxley backstage. I believe he was talking about how he didn't care about the title, but then saying that he needs to win this tournament for like his daughter or his family now. Then we had the Dark Order backstage with Hangman Adam Page. And our next match was Jungle Boy versus Brandon Cutler. This was a very quick match. Jungle Boy was your winner, and then afterwards, Jungle Boy calls out any member of the Elite. Adam Cole comes out, but of course this was all a trick. The Young Bucks come out and attack. They give a BTE trigger and a last shot to cap it off at the top of the ramp, and Jungle Boy is thrown off the stage through a table. So
that's quite a jump. And they threw him off.
Oh yeah, well they threw him and he did a front flip.
Yeah,
and landed through the table. Finally wrapping up the show though,
I can't stand Brandon Cutler.
No. I mean, I get what he's like there for, but sometimes he can be used in funny ways.
In the next Dynamite,
he was used greatly in the main event of the next Dynamite.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So our main event was Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes, Part 3. In the middle of the match, at some point, Brock Anderson and Lee Johnson come out. There was a spot I thought was pretty cool. Cody does a crossroads off the outside of the ring onto a table through a table that's also on the outside of the ring.
That was cool, but it's also like Cody went through the table.
Yeah.
Like Malachi was on top of him.
Yeah, I mean it didn't do anything for.
It also happened during the break.
Oh, did it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was a break spot.
There was also was it get the Glock? There was definitely a get the Glock chance going out.
There was a huge Cody sucks chant in the beginning.
Yeah, there was a lot of boos for Cody. It was the back and forth cheering for Malachi, then booing for Cody. At one point, Andrade comes out. Eventually, Arn Anderson hits a spine buster on Andrade's associate. Then Pac comes out and attacks Andrade. In the end, your winner was Cody Rhodes with a crossroads and a Tiger Driver 98, is I believe what Excalibur 98. Said. I mean, it was a good main event, good way to cap off the show. Cody's first win, I believe, in this series of matches. Yeah. I thought this was going to be the end of it, but once we get into the next Dynamite, we see this isn't. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this Part 3?
Yeah, it should have been the end of it. I mean, Cody winning here and how they did the Malachi's promo afterwards made me not hate it as much. Like I didn't like it at all. Or Cody comes back for a third match and just wins it all of a sudden because he's been training more or something. Which just means that he's obviously not been putting the work.
Arn's been calling him a pussy, so he finally did it.
Yeah, Arn was threatening to shoot him if he didn't win this time. So, but when
the match was
yeah.
No, you go ahead, Jeremy.
I was just gonna say that Malachi. I think it was in the next Dynamite, but it kind of just ties into the match itself. But he basically just said that the purpose wasn't to get a win. It was just, to destroy basically Cody Rhodes. And he's like, the crowd's booing you. You had to destroy your friends and family's relationship. So, my favorite line that he signed off with was, the house always wins. It was a great line.
Yeah, the match overall, it was a fine match. The thing is, I don't get why Well, now I think that they're gonna play into a long-term thing, but he's he's almost it almost seems like he just isn't taking the hint. It's like, dude, you're not a babyface. Like you need to switch it up, man. But I was super disappointed to see Malachi lose this match. I was like, oh. And I'm not a big fan of what happens to him on the next Dynamite either, which we'll get into. I don't like this direction, but and again, I don't want to be that like complaining person. We'll see where the story takes everything, but his new alliance that he's made, I just thought it made him just look like another one of the wrestlers. Like he's hanging out with Andrade. I'm like,
this was also his first loss, right, in AEW?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like he should have stayed undefeated for a little while longer.
Yeah, he has a good thing going.
I don't know. Once you start training with Arn seriously, you become a beast, apparently.
It's all those late nights in the backyard with a bonfire with Arn.
God, that segment. So that wrapped up that Dynamite. Now, we did have 2 this week, but moving on to Monday Night Raw, there's 2 things I wanted to cover in particular. So Damian Priest had a match with T-Bar. And he ended up winning the match, but I believe like a chair got thrown at him, like one of the announcer chairs. I think T-Bar threw at him, and he just goes off and does a beatdown like we've never seen Damian Priest do before. I don't know if both of you guys saw it or maybe one of you saw it, but to me it was looking like he's doing a slow, like some sort of heel turn at the moment. Any of you guys see it?
I didn't see it, so you can go ahead, Tim.
I didn't see it either.
No. Well, I'm sure there's clips on YouTube, but yeah, it just, maybe they feel like Damian Priest has done what he can as this babyface, saving the day, saving people, beating the fighting champion and all that.
Andy's our weekly WWE connoisseur. He'll bring you the raw action.
I watch it all, right? Watch it all. Take the notes.
We all watch it all. Hey, dude. I spend a lot of. I mean, we all do. We all spend the time watching.
Yes, but yeah. I mean, if you end up seeing this part, it definitely he showed more aggression during this segment than he had before. So if they're gonna turn him heel, it looks like this was the definitive moment of starting that. But what I really wanted to cover when it came to Raw was the main event. And the main event was Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor versus Rey Mysterio. And they made it a point it was all former champions. In a ladder match to become the new number 1 contender to Big E. Your winner and new number 1 contender is Seth Rollins. I thought this match was, you got stars in there. It's a ladder match. Some really cool spots were in there. I enjoyed it. And even though storytelling-wise, does it really make sense that Seth Rollins is now the new number 1 contender after losing 4 days before? I don't know. But I'm here for it. I think if you put any of the other 3 against Big E, it would have been a face versus a face, which I'm usually not as big of a fan of. But storytelling-wise, I think this makes sense. Edge is gone for a little bit, so if they were going to continue that storyline, it's at least on the back burner for now.
Yeah, it was a good match. And, yeah, Seth Rollins versus Big E, it's probably going to be great matches, too. I'm sure they're going to probably have more than just one. But I'm kind of curious to see if they would even consider taking the title off Big E right now. Because I know how much they love Seth Rollins. But I don't think he actually needs it right now. Seth Rollins, that is.
Well, if they were to take it off of him and put it on Seth Rollins, you would have Seth versus Roman at Survivor Series.
That's true. But they are both heels right now.
This is true also.
I enjoyed the match. A lot of star power in there. Hard to go wrong.
Man, I mean, when that match got announced, I was like, Raw got some good. Raw got some stars. They just opened the show with announcing that segment, and yeah, I mean, you got Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor on the same show.
It's a great lineup right there.
Yeah, for sure. So Tuesday night we had the first official pay-per-view for NXT 2.0, and it was Halloween Havoc. I didn't want to go through the whole thing, but I did want to talk about the title matches because there were 3 title exchanges and 1 retaining. The opening contest was for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship, and it was a Scareway to Hell ladder match. It was Io Shirai and Zoe Stark, the champions, versus Indy Hartwell and Persia Pirotta versus Toxic Attraction, which was Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Your winners and new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Toxic Attraction. Now, I did want to talk about there was a particular spot in the match where Io Shirai went off a ladder and flipped down onto another ladder that was kind of planked from the ring to the barricade, and she just looked like she hit hard, but it was a pretty crazy spot. I know Tim saw. Did you get to see it, Jeremy?
I saw the main event, but I haven't really seen too much of that stuff.
What do you think of the match, Tim? Or the spot? The match, Tim? Or the spot?
They're tough, right? Like, that was very scary, and she took it perfectly. I mean, she stayed loose, and but there's really no safe way to do that, and yeah, she definitely earned my respect. That'll be on the highlight reel for years to come.
I was just thinking, when it came to that, if anyone's going to take that spot in the match, it's going to be Io Shirai. Everyone else is, they're still green, I feel like. Maybe Zoe Stark would be next to take it, but, yeah. Congrats to Toxic Attraction for their first time being tag team champions. Our next title match was for the women's NXT Championship. It was a trick or street fight. Raquel Gonzalez versus Mandy Rose.
Love these names.
Yeah, me too. Especially there was a bunch of Chucky. He was like the host of the pay-per-view.
That was weird.
We don't have to talk about that. But in the middle of this women's tag team or women's championship match, Dakota Kai returned. She happened to be that mysterious superstar who was coming. She returns. She hits Raquel with a shovel, and your winner and new NXT Women's Champion is Mandy Rose. So now Toxic Attraction has all the women's gold.
That's what we predicted, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Next,
Mandy.
She's not that Mandy anymore, though.
Yeah. Yeah, she
Dark
changed her hair. She went
Mandy.
dark.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
So, we had the NXT Tag Team Championship in a, you're going to love this too, a Lumberjack O-Lantern match. It was the champions.
Just add or lantern to it. That's fine.
It was the champions MSK defending against Imperium. Your winners, and I believe for the first time ever, Imperium became the new NXT Tag Team Champions. I know they've held it in NXT UK, but I believe this is their first time in America's NXT. So congrats to them. Our main event, though, was the NXT Championship match, Tommaso Ciampa versus Braun Breaker. Man,
These guys killed it.
yeah, they really did. Braun Breaker is a future star. I think one day he might even main event WrestleMania. I'm sure they might fast track him to the main roster. I could totally see that happening. Though Tommaso Ciampa did retain, I think everyone got to see, what Braun Breaker could do. I think the story of this match, though, that they were telling was experience versus, or experience basically towers all, at least in this case. I mean, but Braun Breaker was explosive. He did a bunch of Steiner moves. I don't know why. He just doesn't go by
Steiner.
But I mean, he didn't hide that he was a Steiner throughout that match based on what he was doing and how he was wrestling in general. But I thought it was an awesome match.
You know what's funny about this match is that we were all like, oh, Breaker's going to win. And we're kind of like disappointed because we want Champa. And now after this match, I'm like, why didn't he win? Like, now I feel like they should have gone in that direction.
Yeah, you were anticipating it.
Yeah.
Well, the question is then, who is next in line to wrestle Tommaso Ciampa? I'm sure we'll find out. I'm sure they'll... Mandy. So that covers Halloween. That covers Halloween Havoc.
Well, guys, that wraps up our show. Appreciate you joining us today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the PW Fan on YouTube and leave us that review on iTunes so we can get you your t-shirt. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan to get your shirt. Follow Andy's Funko Pop Instagram at the 410 Fanbros. Thanks again for listening, and join us in 2 weeks. Okay, we're going to be back on November 19th. Bye-bye, everybody.